So you're asked to give feedback on another student's interview report. Just like all of our peer feedback, the goal is that we want to help eliminate wasting time and money on ideas that won't work. We also want to help clarify thinking in this lean startup methodology where we try to set hypotheses. So we try to get clearer about what our hypotheses are. Often we just aren't very clear with that. So giving feedback helps you to clarify your own thinking and helps other people with theirs. And so the whole goal is so that through these interviews we get to better understand who we should try to sell to. So I want you to think of this as not just a hoop that you're trying to jump through for a grade, but an act of service for someone else so that they can have a better experience with this project is really trying to help them. I'm going to have you fill out sentences describing their interview report and then also comment on that. And so I'd like you to be very purposeful in what you write. So use class concepts to explain what you are trying to say. Try to give helpful, doable, realistic suggestions instead of just saying what's wrong. And then try to give your opinion, but give reasons for that opinion. And again, this feedback will be part of your online participation grade. Some of you do a really good job of it, and it's really great to see. The first section is about hypotheses. They should have clear hypotheses, and I want you to restate their hypotheses. So they should have a hypothesis about the percentage of their interviews that will have a pass on value proposition 1. Usually they're going to have at least 2 value propositions, so you're going to write this phrase, at least X percent. Let's say 40% of interviewees will have a pass on value proposition 1. It would be helpful if they wrote out what value proposition 1 is. You're going to restate that in your comments. You're going to restate it for the second one, and if they have a third one, you're going to restate all of those. And then they should have one additional hypothesis that could be a customer segment hypothesis or a customer relationship or something else, where they kind of state their bet about who's going to be more likely to be interested or to have passes, or what approach will be more likely. I've given some examples there. You're going to fill those in with real numbers, though. They should have numbers. And if they don't, you should comment on that they need them. And then if you're unclear about that, any questions that you have. Then you're going to talk about process. So that's the second section of the grading rubric. And you're just going to restate these things. They said they interviewed X number of people, so you're going to fill in that number. They asked the following questions. You're going to restate what they asked. The most insightful quotation was, and you're just going to put the quote that you thought was best that they listed. And then you're going to give your assessment saying, my confidence level that they did these interviews in the way specified in class is whatever, high, medium, low, whatever words you want to describe that as. And then you're going to say because, and then give some reasons for that. You might give some additional questions. You could state they might try to talk to, and then fill in the blank, additional people for interviews. Another test that they could try would be, and then explain some type of test that they could do to see what would work better. The whole idea here is that they're trying to improve the process, and interviewing people helps to do that. Then you're going to move on to the results. So you're going to look at this table. Everyone should have a table like I have here. You'll notice that in prior iterations I had the total number of interviews, the row was at the bottom. Now I'm putting it at the top because I think it actually helps to get this idea of it's closer to kind of a funnel, and hopefully it will help people to avoid some errors in the numbers. So you're going to assess their table. You're going to say, do the total number of interviews match? So the total that they report in the process should match the total that is shown here. And then when you add up the number in each of the buckets along the total, the top line, that should add up to the total number of interviews. So the total number of female interviews, which is 14, plus the total number of male interviews, which is 14, adds up to the total number of interviews, which is 28. Similarly, the total number of interviews of those 25 or less is 20. Total interviews of those that are 25 or greater is 8. You add those numbers together, you get 28. See if all those numbers match. And the same with all of the value propositions. All of the numbers, when you classify them according to buckets, should add up to the total passes on value propositions. So on value proposition 1 here, for example, the number of passes for females on value proposition 1 is 5. The number of passes for males on value proposition 1 is 3. 5 plus 3 is equal to the total, which is 8. Similarly, if you divide the people that had passes on value proposition 1 by age, those less than or equal to 25 years old, there were 7 who had a pass on value proposition 1, and there were only 1 over 25 that had a pass on value proposition 1. So 7 plus 1 again is equal to 8. So basically you're trying to see, did they do this table right? And then look at the percentages, do these seem right? One easy mistake that a lot of people make is that they think that the numbers for passes on value proposition 1 and 2 and 3 should add up to the total. That's not correct, because for each individual they could have a pass on 1 and a fail on the other 2, a pass on all 3, a fail on all 3. So those numbers don't add up to the total in each column, which I explained in the other video. So just make any comments about the table. And then in the insight section, which is the last section, you're going to state they did or did not use specific percentages to show insights on the pass-fail tests. And then you're going to restate their insights. The major insights are, and then you restate them. You can also write the sentence, needed BMC changes they identified were, so you identify what they said they need to change. And then make a statement of whether you think other BMC changes might be needed. And finally, you're going to assess on the clarity of the document. Is it skimmable? Suggest changes in formatting. So you write this sentence, changes to formatting that could improve clarity and professionality include. Changes that could make level of effort more convincing include. That's what I want you to write in your peer feedback.